I guess I should start the video with saying that I am part of the solution. Everyone's gonna come in here. Oh, well, why don't you do something about it then? I'm looking at independent comic books, people who are creators who decided what I'm seeing from the big two or the big three, if you consider image part of it. What I'm seeing is not what needs to be seen. There's a problem here. There needs to become an alternative to get hot and make an impact. While I love Marvel and DC, I also know that the Ninja Turtles came out of nowhere and became a thing. I know that popular characters are always going to find their way to the top. I'm going to get started and I'm going to make a comic book series of my own. Independent comics spark all the time. And I don't have statistics, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them don't reach issue number 10. What's going on, Eric? Welcome to the stream. When I see an independent comic, I never think, oh, gotta support, it's an independent, I gotta give my money to these people. No, I go to the website. I read the about section. I look at how many comics have already come out. What have you proven? Are you the guy who's not going to continue making comic books because, issue number one just didn't bring in the money? Too bad. Or are you the guy who picked up two jobs? You're sacrificing meals. You're putting everything into this content and then releasing it to the public. And you're hustling and bustling, doing interviews after interview. Are you on everyone's YouTube channels? Not just YouTube. There's other ways to market. You don't got to be Stan Lee, but you got to be active. Are you trying? Are you saying Chillmonger, you're $4, you're $5, $10, how much it's worth? It's not a hustle. It's not a cheap trick to get some change out of you. What's going on, Zang Beto? You're also in here. Zang. Oh, hey, Zang. Look, Eric said Zang. I want to know that the creators that are trying to sell you guys on these comic books have a trajectory. I want to know that studios are talking to them, or I want to know that they're at least trying to get there. If I see an issue number one and the release strategy is, you know what, maybe on Facebook I can tell my friends to buy some comics, and depending on how many friends this person has, writer and artist, you might 100 sales, maybe 100 units sold from people who will buy one comic, but they're not going to buy the rest of your comics. I'm not looking at that. I'm not interested in that. I'm not looking at the Kickstarters either. I know this is controversial, but if you're making a Kickstarter and you're saying you'll pay me first and then I'll make this thing, then that just shows me that this is a paycheck, living paycheck by paycheck. The results of issue number two is dependent on the sales of issue number one. You didn't sacrifice anything here. I'm looking at independent comic books because these are thoughts that I have. When I eventually, and we're not anywhere close to it, but when I eventually launch a comic book and I promote, and I don't have 3,000 subscribers, but I have my own marketing division of, like, let's say 100K subscribers. I'm just choosing a number, maybe a million, maybe 3 million. You thought I was going to go lower, right? Now I'm shooting for the moon. I'm going to go and I'm going to be dropping these comic books on my channel, letting everyone know, hey, here it is. It's for free. Read issue number one. I'm not all here trying to make money out of you. I'm trying to create fans. I'm trying to become a change. I'm trying to make sure that the representation that is sorely missing is on for you, and it's a click away. You don't even have to send us your email. You don't even got to log into anything. You don't got to, there's no paywall to get started on this stuff. So if I'm having these thoughts about what I'm going to do and the sacrifices I'm going to be making before we even get to that point, and now I look around at the independent creators and I go, I make this face. How badly do you want it? And how badly do you think it's important? And how much of it is just a business relationship? It is a business. But how serious are you about this business? Independent comic book creators are not for me. A lot of them are not for me. Of course, there's going to be some diamonds in the rough, and I'm for the diamonds in the rough. If you guys remember, you might not. So I was watching the Black Comic Lords on Friday, like 2 Fridays ago. I saw a whole bunch of creators there that they were highlighting, and then like a week later, I remember asking, like, okay, who's the top creator now that no one's there? Like, which of these guys is the one to back? Like, who's the? They told me that Concrete Comics is a big name, and well, they named Concrete. They named Godhood Comics. All I needed. I'm not gonna waste, not waste, but I'm not gonna use my finite resources because I'm not made of money here at the Chill Mansion on giving everybody a go. Let's how about these guys who just sparked off? I'm sh- I'm not saying that anyone is wrong for sparking off and going and trying to advertise yourself and asking for, hey, share this. This is important. You're not wrong for that. But like I said when I began this comic, what did you sacrifice to get us there? And what are you charging me? Oh, I gotta pay 20 bucks, 30 bucks for a comic book because representation is really important. Is that why? And that goes for even like white comic book companies, right? Oh, you want me to drop how much money just so that your project can start? That's that's a big ask. I'm looking at the sacrifices from the people in charge. And if you're not sacrificing, I'm disinterested. And this goes let's go to Black Panther, who's like a big character ever since he debuted back in 1966. Mm. I don't know why this isn't right in front of me every video. Ever since this guy started off, they've shown me event after event, Marvel comic after Marvel comic, that he is featured in like an Iron Man. You might see him mentioned in the Avengers often. He matters. Storm, same thing. She's all over the X-Men all the time, never treated like a D-lister. She's not a D-lister. Neither is T'Challa. Everyone else, I do not care for. Don't try to sell me on Luke Cage Gang War. I'm not going to buy a 2-issue limited series with a dead end, with destined to fail, with no interest or a plan to make him anything. I've seen, I saw Bendis try his best with that character, and I saw where you guys put him. Marvel has 2 black characters, and then they have attendance. Every time there's like a team or something, you'll see, oh look, they put Power Man Victor Alvarez. They put Power Man on this team. Oh, how about that? Riri Williams, she's part of the champions. Representation's great. Oh, well, here's this X-Men team, not the A team, but like, the X-Men team all the way down here. And wouldn't you know that Gentle is part of it, the Wakandan. Eric says that I agreed. I love independent comics. I feel that they have the best stories right now. Hey, that's true too. That independent comics have better stories, less restrictions, no stupid editors bogging down. It's actually creatives who are doing their thing, right? Yeah, give them that for sure. Not insulting the storytelling of everybody. Actually, this is more me insulting the editors right now. But many of them are just hobbyists who want to say they made a comic instead of a creative needing to get their story out. They're a hobbyist. They're a hobbyist. There it is. I want to go on your website and I want to see that on January issue 1 is released and February issue 2 is already out, and look out for March because that's where issue 3 is coming with no delays. I want to know that your artist, team, letterer, colorists, they're on point. And if they're not, then you're not going to promise me that there's a comic coming in March and I don't get it till November. And independents aren't doing that. Some independents are not doing that. There's nothing to love here, especially because you're asking for my money, emotionally manipulating in the marketing, saying that representation is great and these stories need to be told, and it's what's missing, and this is how we're going to change things. And you're getting allowed. Some people are really good at marketing, really bad at creating, really bad at market. They're good at marketing, bad at creating. They're bad at what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know the word I'm looking for, but let me read some comments. Looking forward to What If season 2? No. Yeah, I'm over Kickstarters, man. How many years to wait for the next issue? Oh, you also want a $50, $11? $50, $11 is a lot of money. It's more than $40, $90. How about the Marvels? I'll watch it, but I'm not interested. Not where I should be. So that's good. It might be a surprise, right? It might get me. When I think of the people who are selling a comic book, they're really good at tweeting, they're really good at making their voices heard, and they're not smart. they're not they're not creating good stuff. The artwork is lacking. Then they get all complainy, and then they start making enemies out of other people, and that becomes something that they're known for online, like calling people out and just trying to make like controversy to create cash. I can't be behind that. There's a lot of that happening. Sabra, the new Marvel comic book character from Israel. Okay, man. I mean, I knew you were one of those accounts, but there it is. Free Palestine, buddy. I won't get us. I won't. It won't get us. LOL. It won't get us. But the thing is, there's so much filth. What if there is like a good one, a good independent creator who's surrounded by all of these, guys who died down at issue number 3, and because we're so disheartened and so hurt by all these shitty creators and independents, that like a really fly one is actually not getting our money. What is your number, Mad Max? So issue number 1 comes out, and let's just say that they only sell 100 copies and they needed 500 copies. They stop making issue number 2. Or they stop at issue number 3, or they stop at issue 4. When I'm asking Mad Max your number, like the number where a comic book stops, it hasn't stopped yet and it's still going, where you can go, oh, no, this is actually a franchise here. And it's not just some guy who's trying to make money off of me. What is that number? It is expensive to make a comic book. I'm not insulting that. But it's also like within a reasonable amount if you save your money over a long period of time. If you say, I'll make a comic book, you save your money for like a year, you have enough money to fund a comic. A set, you have enough money to fund 2 issues. So I need to know, did you, whatever your job is, or whatever you do for a living, whatever your situation is, did you plan and save your money and put dollars behind it to where there's definitely most certainly going to be 2 issues? Or are you relying on that community kickstarting for them to read your story about? Now, I was going to say something that makes it sound like I'm talking about someone specific, but I'm not. What are you doing? What did you sacrifice? Mad Max, the question was 7? You said 7. And he asked me if I'm liking season 2. Nah, not really. So if a comic book series goes to issue number 7 and they're talking about, hey, read issue number 8, and he's marketing and he's putting his shit out, everyone's going to say, oh, they're already at issue number 7. What are people talking about? I think issue 7 is definitely something I could get with. They're probably on their 2nd or 3rd arc by issue number 7. After they did the introduction, after they solved the first problem, they might be on the 3rd arc by now. And I could say, oh, okay, there's something happening here. Enough people are buying it. The creator is still making it. Issue number 7, I can be interested. And what sucks is this comic that made it to issue number 7, well, 7 months ago when he was on issue number 1, I was just rolling my eyes at, oh, look, another guy trying to get hot and trying to make money. I've seen a lot of enemy making. I think we're thinking of the same one. You said it, chill. And I wasn't just thinking about one guy. There's many. Too many creators became drama farmers. Now you mentioned someone's name, and I don't want to mention someone's name in vain, but I will read your comments because you are a channel member. If it was anyone else, I would stop reading. That is one of the many reasons why I no longer buy Ethan Van Sciver's books. I liked his Green Lantern work, but that man is poison. And then we got Mayan, who wrote earlier here about an Israeli superhero because he wanted to get me kind of triggered, and that's the ilk of Mayan. I called him out on that, and then I said Free Palestine, if you guys remember. But Mayan might be on like 10 different guys' live streams right now, just throwing comments in. And I don't think that's a real person. There's always a guy in here, like the Phantom of Chillmonger, who will like write shit. Like, look, he ignored everything I just said right now. Kevin Feige should be on Jimmy Kimmel, etc. Like, I was just talking about how you're not a real account, and you responded with some fake shit. If you're paying attention, man. Maybe he's like using Google Translate from his little Russian base or Chinese base, wherever he is. Because you know how I do that. You know how they do that, right? Like there's foreign enemies trying to get us divided on things. Oh, my mistake. All right, sorry. I apologize. They don't really get sarcasm. I've never seen your account here before, man, and you act just like the way other people have acted. People have asked me about Sabra too, years before. You're the same guy. So Eric says that you don't have to read the comment if it goes against your channel standards. But I do want to call it out too, just for everyone to see that there are these forces. Okay, cool. No, I'm not talking about Ethan Van Sciver. But if we are talking about him, how much did he make? Like $1 million based off of a little comic book because there's an audience who are really mad at what they're not getting, which is um, not agenda driven stuff. Now, of course, I'm gonna call a lot of these people racist, hateful beings. Of course, I will, and I'm not living in a fake world. But if there is a problem of agenda driven coming out of Marvel and DC, and they're paying money to get away from that, that's valid. The complaint is valid. Like Marvel and DC really are more focused on what this right here, what they tried to accomplish. We'll introduce a new hero. He'll have them fight these guys. They'll have a discussion. The world will be built because now there's a country in Africa that we didn't know existed. Like storytelling. When the Marvel Comics gets back driven on that, that'd be important. You know that he actually doesn't mention race or nothing like that until the final comic page where he unmasks himself right here. And look, he unmasks himself. That's all. That's all that there is. That's all. Hey, don't get hypnotized by that advertisement. Ooh. Um, and they never bring up really some of that hot topic stuff. Fantastic Four just act like it's normal. That's great representation. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. They also have the benefit of not he being the first Marvel character who's melanated, so they don't really have. Oh, what's going on, RC Scott? Speaking of the right wing, what's going on, bro? Um, representation. They never stopped in the when Black Panther first appeared in the comic to be about, oh, here's what's really important. Let's talk about this, man. The police are out here to get us. It was just like escapism, entertainment, and we got to see Wakanda later on. There's storytelling that was happening back then, and fulfilled all the positive, nice, gleeful things about how peeps there's an underrepresented group, and now they're being featured, and everyone's just enjoying, and the story's going somewhere. That's what I'm talking about. That's how it should always be done. When I launch a comic book, they're not talking about. I won't overpromise that. When I release a comic book, it will be more closer to what I just talked about with Fantastic Four 52, where Black Panther appears. It will be more closer to this than some of the stories that we're seeing now, which are more on the nose. If there's any sort of moments of representation or moments where people stop to talk about their skin tone, which I won't do that. I know I won't do that. I mean, not talk about me right now because we're so many far away years from that. What I'm gonna do, my independent comic is years from coming from now. I kind of actually regret that I even mentioned that I'll be doing it. But go ahead on my Instagram page. It's Chillmonger with 3 R's, and you can see some of my concept art, some of the designs that we're working on. You guys can check out my Instagram for that. If you want to get a sneak peek of one of the main characters who's a dude, and go to the last of the 4 images, and you can see the other main character who's a woman, because male, female. Now leave me alone on that women, men, and all that divisive show. Well, 2 of the main characters right there. Boom, 1 and 2. The top 2 characters. Sometimes the comic will focus more on him. Sometimes it'll focus more on her. But they're never going to stop to talk. And they're not romantically linked. I'm not trying to do that with these 2. There's just going to be a happy representation of the 2. And then should my comic series get more male later on or more female later on, I don't care. My leads are split. That's where most of the onus is on. When I look at independents, I don't think they think the way I think. I don't think they think the way I think. I think when I look at them, I believe a lot of them are not smart people. They may be artistically driven, or they may be inspired or more prone to act. The ones who put their feet down and they get started. But are they intellectual? Is there a line in issue number 1 which is going to pay off in issue number 31? I'm only saying that shit because I do. Independents are cool, and the marketing could be nice, but it never speaks for the work. You actually got to read the work, and sometimes you read the work and you're just like, "Oh, yeah, somebody just banged somebody. He's powered up. He's glowing now." Is Dragon Ball Z very much like This is there's a lot of trash that's out there that's not worth our money. Now, when they reach issue number 7, at least even if it is trash, and even if it's just the artwork that's carrying it, at least maybe that there's hope that paying my money in here has now funded the new Netflix series that's going to start off. And if that's the case, fine. I want to be giving my money to something that has promise, something that's going somewhere. Can you imagine if we all paid money and concentrated all of our dollars, everyone who's pro independent, if we all just said we're all gonna love and show attention to Black Sands Entertainment, and this guy gets huge, and then he gets his TV show, and Black Sands Entertainment is just the bee's knees. It's just as big as Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's similar story, it's similar concept, going older times type of stuff. Can you imagine if everyone just got behind one creator and all that money that's for representation because it's really important, but we're too busy spreading it apart to Sam and Tiana and Jim and instead it all went to one guy like Manuel, because that's the one who runs Black Sands Entertainment, who I'm choosing for this example. It could be anybody. And then imagine the benefit that could happen because there's one guy leading in charge with way more resources to make decisions. Now, has Manuel shown fuck. I'm not insulting anybody. I'll stop there because I was about to go that route. I was about to, and I don't want to ever be here bashing somebody, even though I get really close sometimes. And I've done it before. I've talked, and I've always regretted it. I've always talked negatively on somebody and then felt badly about it afterwards because I am not the channel who is not them. I'm me. I'm my own guy. It doesn't. Kids aren't reading Marvel and DC. They're reading manga. That's true. I'm backing Chillmonger comics. They won't be called that either. They'll be having another name, which Dre might know about because I was on a stream talking to him about my independent work. I'm not buying what people are selling all the time. I'm super skeptical, and I would hate to spend $50 on a comic book that goes nowhere. I've done enough of that on Marvel. I was so bought into that House of X, Power of X stuff. I have long boxes of comics that I thought would matter and blend in. Fallen X, X Force, New Mutants. Oh, look, the writer on this is Ed Brisson, but no, look, it's going to be Jonathan Hickman right after. It's going to be really important. It's going to matter. And then 2 years later, Jonathan Hickman gets axed from the entire creative team after that Inferno event we all remember. I have a lot of comics that I've spent money on Marvel thinking I was paying for a story and learning later on that literally the story has been rerouted. The plan has changed. We are no longer going in the direction that was intended. I listened to Hickman say how there was like a 3-act plan that they were going to enact, that he started with a grand vision. I heard him say this and I said, okay, well, got to be in on the vision. Let me pick up Marauders. And it got nothing. It's not the Chillverse. No, it's not the Chilliverse. I'm going to name the comic related to the planet that the thing will take place in. No, I'm not taking place on Earth because, again, escapism. While many of the characters' skin will be dark or different shades, everyone's not all going to be a black character, quote unquote black. No one's really black because it's aliens and stuff, technically. But, one second. Thank you for allowing me to sip water and quietness. I'm not. So what I want to have is like a very multicultural cast of people. The like the first 2 comic book characters that are most important in primary, will have skin tone that is darker than what we usually get, like the Fantastic Four. But after that, there's going to be room for other ethnic groups, specifically white people. They're not going to be They're not going to not exist in the comic book. It's just that's not what's needed, and that's fine. It's just based off of a pattern. Some people are really racist and they're looking for like a reason to get mad at Chillmark. Did he just say fuck white people? No, I did not. I feel you on that, Chill. I felt the same way with Patrick Gleason's and Peter Tomasi's Super Sons run. Yeah, and then Patrick Gleason came over to Marvel and he made the hottest comic book I've ever seen. Amazing Spider-Man. Eric, which comic book cover am I talking about right now that Patrick Gleason drew? What is that comic book? Because I got that. Oh, and I got that variant cover also. I got 2 variant covers, to be honest. Amazing cover. And I pre-ordered that. I saw that and I go, whoa, I'm not even reading Amazing Spider-Man right now, but I have to get that cover. You know the comic book. What number was it? Same, X-Men, Marauders, X-Force, and it went nowhere. Yeah, Dre was there with me. And look at all that money we spent wasted on Marvel comic books that had nothing to do with the story that Jonathan Hickman was doing. But we all thought that because at the end of each comic book, they would say, read X-Force, read this, read that. And we thought, oh, there's a story. They're weaving something. There's a reason why this guy with the peacock tattoo is going to matter. But we spent all that money and went nowhere. Why would I do the same with an independent comic book? Why would I do that for a comic book who's, I mean, what, I'm paying a guy's rent? I guess you could say that. At least you're giving somebody money to pay for their kids, and at least we could say that we can give some. And still, though, what have you sacrificed to even get there on your issue number one and your issue number two? Your issue number one should come at no cost of me. I think everyone who's in a comic book business who's doing independent comics, you need to know that your first issue is a loss. That is an investment. Don't expect to make no profit off of your comic book. Expect to have dropped all the money you're going to pay your letterer, your artist, your color, your whoever you're publishing with. Just expect and understand, hey, we're not going to be profitable. That's not the point right now. The goal is to make it as accessible as possible, which is why Chillmonger is going the free route. Go on the Chillmonger website, which doesn't exist yet. Go on the website, read the comic book for free. Now, should you want to order the comic book and pay for it, you definitely can order the physical comic book, drop me some money, and you'll have something in your hand. But I'm trying to make no restrictions on how many people are going to get invested. And if I'm thinking that way, independents need to too. The independents also need to think that way. Will there be any green characters? I thought about that, and no, there will not be a green character, because this is what I thought, Eric. See, I was like, no, one day we were going to make it a movie, right? And do I really want my actors in the movies to be on these chairs where they got to sit for like 5 hours to get their makeup on? Nah. None of the characters can be green. I thought about dyeing hair different colors, like maybe like some people just have pinkish fuchsia color hair. I thought about doing that, and I will do that. There will be a different colored hair people, because we got to maximize on colors. There's a reason why Gwen Stacy was blonde, and then he gets a new girl, and it's Mary Jane. Face the tiger, you just hit the jackpot, and all of a sudden her hair, bingo! I'll show this. All of a sudden her hair is a different color. Why? Because on comic books, we really don't have much to make characters look different. There's fat, there's skinny, and then there's hair length and design and like the texture and stuff. Then there you got to get into the color, which is why it's amazing that it took so long to get a little bit diverse in Marvel comics. How many Steves did we need? How many Chris's did we need? Peter, you know how many Peters there are? Peter Parker, Pietro like Rasputin, Peter Quill. These guys will do anything but create a character whose skin tone just a little bit darker. And it felt like during the past, if someone was a black character, it was like the same shade. Madness. Madness, I tell you. Thank you, Zoltar, for that pledge, right? I appreciate it. And I'm hydrating. Yeah. Let me show you that Amazing Spider-Man 55, though. ASM 55. Oh, I got to share the screen, too. Present, share screen, ASM 55. This cover is gorgeous. And I got the red one, too. If I have a complaint, it's that it says Last Remains up top, and I wish they would have pulled that. I wish no comic book had Last Remains on the words there, and they just kind of kept the Amazing Spider-Man logo, but man, that web is so beautiful. It's so gorgeous. I got to show you the full picture, actually. Copy, paste. Do we see it now? Yeah. It's a spider in the middle creating this web by Patrick Gleason and Nick Spencer. And it's just so sick. And then after this comic book cover, they had to make some variants of like Venom also. Oh, it even says Gleason down here. See that on the bottom right? He even wrote his name. Gleason. I probably knew that, but just forgot. Like, that is so creative. These webs, they made a few webs covers a little bit later, but the 55th issue, Legacy 856, was a keeper. Gorgeous cover. And they made a red one and they made a blue one afterward, like a second printing, because shit, this was a hot comic book. I'll never sell this. I love this. Love this comic book cover. The Guy Pearce movie, that Time Machine shows all humans are Biracial in the future. Cool. The line work is good. That's all it is line work. All it was. He just took a colorful pen and just got started on his little silver webs. Sorry, Steve, you're all right though. What does Steve say? There's not enough Steves. Is that the point of the video that you came in on? There's not enough Steves. Patrick Gleason is such a great artist. I love his work. Amazing. And I wasn't reading the Tomasi Super Sons, but sure. Hey, Nerdy Brew in the building. Says here that the last time I read Marvel was Secret Wars in 2015. And maybe some Iron Fist. It's been a while. Look, when I think of Secret Wars 2015, that was a story that was started in like 08, 09, Fantastic Four. It got built in the Avengers, New Avengers. It climaxed with this big event in 2015. Jonathan Hickman has long-term storytelling. And when I thought that was what we were going to get, I was like, yeah, that's what I'll spend my money on. And that's not what we got. Now, Hickman making a creative and independent comic doesn't wow me either, unless he's creating a character who maybe looks like me. And I'll be like, ooh, that's an underrepresented group. Now, of course, it would be nice if it was some of the creators who are from anyone who's not white. But if it was like a unique, underrepresented creator, I'm all about the diversity. I would be more happy to support that. But if Jonathan Hickman is using his resource, or Brian Michael Bendis are using their resource to get the next, or Spawn from Todd McFarlane, trying to make the next great black hero, Asian hero, Latino hero, I would be more inclined to support. You don't got to look like you're from the group. Last time de nada, all new, all different wasn't for me. That was the 2015-16 era where characters took their mantles, and they took mantles and they all wore different mantles. Now, not going to happen here in my comic book. And I hope there's actually a lot of comic book creators who don't do that. It's really only the big two. The other comic book creators know that a brand and a character are synonymous with each other, and it's helpful for just that one character to only go by that name. Because damn, it's really hard to try to convince other people that Grogu isn't Baby Yoda anymore, because they got that planted. Some people look at Billy Batson Shazam and they say that's my Captain Marvel when they just talk about him, because that's how it is. Eric says that Patrick Gleason knows how to make a still shot so exciting. There was a panel in Superman Rebirth he did where Superman ripped Krypto the Superdog out of Eradicator's chest. That sounds like it's awesome. I'm going to look it up later. He stared at the panel for so long. Good. Patrick Gleason's a great artist. Here's another thing. As an independent comic book creator, who's the artist that you're getting on your comic? Who's the cover artist? At least the cover artist. Did you knock on the door of a big-time creator and say, listen, I know you got name credibility because you've wrote this Superman cover. Can you do my cover? Yes, I'll pay you $358. Yes, great. Here's what I want. It's going to be a superhero who's flying and he punches, but make the background have a steel cage or something. I just said that because I was wearing a steel cage. What did you sacrifice for me? I'm going to be paying attention to that. That's all I'm saying. Independent comic book creators are not my friends at all. I don't know. I know a couple. I know Rosales. Daniel Rosales from Rosales Comics, writer of My Frankenstein. I know him. But what everyone else though, like what are you doing, guys? Why aren't you stepping up and showing the customer that this isn't just something that will exist if people are paying for it to still exist? That you already have the first issue paid for. Don't worry, it's issue number 1 comes out regardless. And then from there we can see we can talk business and we can see where this is going. And I put this in place. I have relationships with this comic book store. I have a relationship with this comic book convention. I have a relationship with this person within the media who will be advertising comics, which like would be a YouTuber, for example, which I am my own YouTuber. Plus, I have relationships with a lot of YouTubers who I'm pretty sure they'll feature me on their channel when it's time for me to market a comic book. I'm talking about things that I'm complaining about, but I'm also going to be implementing into my creation, because I'm not just shit talking people. I hope independent creators are watching this. What are we doing? So it's like the 10th time I said, "What are we doing?" So I'll probably need to wrap up the video for the sake of not being redundant. Okay. What are we talking about Grogu on an independent comic stream for? Well, branding. Literally, because people need to know that a character is a character. They introduced him, they know that's his character's name, and it never changes. You know how hard it is to get someone to remember something like your comic book? Don't insult them by saying, "Oh, he no longer goes by that. He goes by that." Why? Luana Vecchio's Lovesick. Probably the best comic I've read in the last year. The artists matter. I have read books where artists do not know the fundamentals of sequential storytelling, and it made the comic weak. Okay, give me an example of a sequential storytelling that's bad. Okay. Oh, my friend is an independent comic maker. I can tap you in. They have a comic out right now. Wow. Nerdy Brew. So, yeah. All right, guys. My reaction to this is, why do I care? I'm not here promoting independent comics. Rather, I'm insulting them, or at least I'm criticizing them for existing without doing what your friend right here. Why hasn't your friend reached out to me on DM with me and my platform with 3,000 subscribers, who does Black Panther comic book reviews and gets 200 views usually? So you would think that a person who is watching the Chillmonger YouTube channel might be interested in a comic book that's independent, right? Why hasn't that friend reached out to me and said, "I have an independent, can we talk? Can you feature me on your channel and we can have a discussion about maybe even me, if people like me, then the creator." So the creator would be like, "I could be on your channel, and if people like me, the creator, then they may actually spend money on me. Let's form a relationship. I know, Chillmonger, that you want guests, which I always look for guests, and I have a thing to sell, and we can be mutual beneficial." Where is that person? I can tap you in. He needs to tap, or she needs to tap herself in with me. Reach out. Show me your comic, and then show me that you're not on issue number one asking for like a favor. Show me that. Prove to me that you got a website that's up. Prove to me that you've got an artist who is a good comic book cover artist. Um, Sell me on the story. Make sure that it's not a representation. That's poor representation. Make sure it's not like a guy who just got out of jail. Make sure it's not terrible stuff that we don't need to promote to our young people. Now, it doesn't mean the character can't have any hardships, but it needs to mean that the character is a positive role model and fights through adversities. Like, he can be poor, that's fine, or he can be rich, but he can't be criminal, like absent parents. I guess I'll let that slide. It's very common in superheroes. There's just stereotypes we need to avoid. So when you said I can tap you in, they have a comic out right now. That's my reaction to that. Panel layouts, panel transitions, page turners. Well, because I asked you a question. I asked you the sequential storytelling. Page turners. Okay, good. Because I have that in thought. I have the page turn of like, oh, look, there's a surprise. They just talked about something, and look, we're at a new setting, right? When the page turns. I do think about that. Panel layouts. That's not going to be me. That's going to be the artist. That's I've directed, because I've done this first script, right? I've instructed, but I also said, if what I'm saying doesn't work on a page, I'm not the artist. So that's all. Not on my hands. I do have splash pages. Yeah, I have a double pager towards the end of the comic. Comics need to be made cheaper. Do they? Do they, Scuff Andy? Hey, Scuff Andy's in a place to be. My name is Nobody. It's Nobody. I enjoyed ISOM, but ISOM's panel layouts and splash pages were very bland and demoined. That better be a typo. Do I have to learn a new word? They're very bland and they mind the impact of the action scenes. Merc Publishing has put out some fire comics over the last couple of years. You see what Trinity just said? Trinity just said Merc, and then he said it put out over the couple of years, which means that it's not just like a nothing comic book. So I'm going to Google Merc Publishing, you said? And see what they're about. Let me give you my honest opinion. Oh, I won't say anything negative, actually. I won't say anything negative at all. Put that down. So see how they kind of have a website that's kind of fancy and stuff? That's cool, man. free domestic shipping for orders over $100. So they're not here trying to make every dollar out of you. They'll actually sacrifice a little bit of something. This is cool. Contact us or all comics. How many comics do they got? They're at issue number 50? Oh, a set of 50. A limited 5. How many comics do they got? What are they selling, yo? So I'm not interested based on this. This just isn't my cup of tea. Not women, but I just mean the messaging isn't something that's missing in the world that needs to be represented. Like a woman who's got little on. Not my thing. But everything I said about the website still stands. Look how interesting this is. A guy who's trying. Contact us. First name Chill, last name Monger. If I click on that, I won't. Thank you for that, Trinity. Miss Meow was excellent. Looking forward to Catfight. Made the story weaker. Art is my biggest complaint about ISOM. Mine too. Story is decent though. Let's get through these. Dampened. Okay. That was supposed to be dampened. I got it. Miss Meow was a 6-issue series. Death Ridge is 6 issues also. Thanks for that answer. So see how this guy's like put a body of work out. He's got his comic book sales. People like Trinity. Trinity, how did you find out about that publishing company, Merc? How did you find out about Merc Publishing? Did you see it in the preview pages? Is it available to order on Diamond, and then it'll be at your shop on Wednesday? Let me know. I'm interested in stuff like that because that sounds like a success story that I would learn from, if you will. That's what I want to know. I can actually send you the link if you want to join Second Street Marvel. Let's check on Twitter DMs. And if anyone has anything to ask, go ahead. Because this isn't the pro independent comics stream. This is let's trash on what's not working. Let's criticize them and laugh at how they try to get your money, sneak your money. He's an artist, James Tyndall. So he's the artist. That makes a lot of sense. It's the artists who are the expensive ones. Usually it's like a writer who's over here trying to write a story, and then he has to pay the artist, and he's got to pay all the money in it. But now that you tell me that the artist is actually spending his own time, essentially it's a free writer and an artist. Now I understand why he could make it so far and have 12 issues out. Artists have that advantage, right? But if you're a comic book writer, then you got to go and search for an artist, find out what the page rate is, begrudgingly accept the pay, and it's not the same for an artist, right? So I'd like to know that an artist, and by the way, people are going to disagree, but just because you're a comic book artist doesn't mean anything to do with your writing capabilities. It doesn't mean you're good, neither does it mean you're bad. You're just an artist. There's a little stigma there where someone is a artist / writer. They hate on him. What's up, The Hill? It's Jamie, Sean, and Murphy who started Merc. So how did you find out about them, though? Oh, you're in bed. Okay, you're in bed. Go ahead. Do your thing. Go to sleep. Sean, Hidoko owns merch. Chill. They joined forces to launch it. I understand. So guys who are names, guys they're not nothings. They're not guys starting from zero. And of course that brings an audience with you, right? They're not exactly the independents that I'm thinking, but they are independent by definition. They're independent, but they're not what I was thinking. And in the name of representation of like skin tone variety specifically, they didn't seem like they had a lot of that. That wasn't their focus, and that's what's missing, and that's what I'm always in support of. Do you guys have another comic book that's independent that need to recommend? Nerdy Brew, if you're still in here, the Nerdy Brew. What's the name of that comic book that you're talking about that your friend has? How far did they go? How apart are the release of the new comic? Is it like once every 8 weeks? Is it once a year? What am I gonna promote? Who am I gonna be reaching out to to get his stuff on my comic book related YouTube channel where I talk about Loki and other things. The independent comic book world are missing that. I got really hot to begin this comic book kind of discussion, and I'm kind of mellowed down. I want to artificially like pump up my anger, but I don't want to also be artificial and be fake. Yellow Spider guy, what's going on, Lurker? There's a reason why manga is hot. Manga seems to understand something called numbers. When you get to number 1, you read issue 2, issue 3, 4, 5, 6. They don't really do those spin-off stuffs where this is attached to that and you got to read there and here. They don't try to divide. They actually tell a good story, a cohesive, numeric story. Right, Planet Fanatics? That's what manga does. Comic books in the American, Canadian marketplace, they think so much about making a universe really early where they barely even got started. I like universes, but it's not time for a universe when you're on the second year of your existence. For most people, there's exceptions like Rippaverse. I wouldn't say that too because the market was huge, right? Of course, you're gonna launch a universe. It's a Christian comic book hero, but I agree, network is needed. Thank you. I love Kevin Grievous. By the way, I just learned his name is not pronounced Grevokes. Grievous's books. He is a superhero series out now called Dark Storm. He also just launched Digintara on Kickstarter the other day. Dark Storm. So this is somebody who he's on the older side. When I typed Dark Storm on the computer, look, a 2006 film just popped up. What the heck? Kevin Grievous. Let's see what this comic book is about. He's got a lightning bolt. Don't tell me he has electric powers. um, where do I go? Horror superheroes. I don't like horror. I like superheroes. Man, this guy's got a lot of work out there. A lot of work. As we can see, Dark Storm is probably the flagfish, huh? And then there's the Addams family. Ha ha ha. The Addams family. Oh, look, he's already got, like, the pages are up for free, huh? Nice. Oh, it's not maximizing. Damn. I was going to compliment him for offering these comic books for regular consumption. And I'm not a fan of the color artists here. I like people's faces having more than just like 2 tones on them. But it isn't trash. It's not garbage. On the side, you can see me clicking. And here we go. You see how he kind of only has the light and then the dark. I wish there was more. But I'm being very picky, obviously. They got a whole family with a mom and a dad. How could you not love that? I'm actually kind of interested in that. And the name is the Addams family. That could get places, right? Clever. Dan and Nerd's Unity kind of looks nice. It took $50,000 on a Kickstarter, didn't it? Didn't it? If you missed what I was talking about earlier, I need the creator to make some sort of sacrifice. I need to know that they put their everything into this, and a crowdfunding project it goes against my beliefs of what works. You can't just crowdfund and say, "Look, we're doing it." What if you didn't have the money? Then you wouldn't have done it, right? All right, then you were not that serious about it. Not to insult Josh, of course. That's like that. It sounds like I'm insulting Josh, which I'm not. I'm insulting crowdfunding. If he finds this video and hates me. What do you think about comics doing art in black and white? Nah, bro, I'm paying money. I'll pay the extra dollar for the art, for the color. Metal Shade and Shrine are pretty good too. He doesn't have electric powers. He's more like Blue Marvel. I thought so. I know that's not how that would go. That is the animation style. It's an animation style. Yeah, so maybe it's going to be quickly adapted to a TV show. That's nice to know that he's thinking that way. I backed Unity too. I would have imagined. Oh, I see. Yeah, just the crowdfunding thing it's a lot. It's a lot for your issue number 1 now. If you're like 10 issues down, you've already proven you got a body of work, you already have a fan base, and you weren't milking them for every dollar out of every comic. Like you weren't spending or charging them $30 for a comic. And then you start saying, I just need the crowd fund. Give me like $1,000 goal just so I can make sure that this new comic comes out. You'll also get a t-shirt. If you do something like that, then I'm not insulting your crowdfunding. Like you've put in so much work. You do deserve the break. And there's an audience who are willing to pay for it, right? You've cultivated an audience. You offered your first comic book issue for free to the masses to see it. Then go ahead and crowdfund. I actually like black and white. I like black and white too. Shoot. I'm more of a diamond and pearl. A little Pokemon comedy. I especially like the black and white with horror books. I could see why. But manga, nah. See, I got into anime heavy. I was into Naruto. And the episodes caught up to the manga. I said, okay, gotta read the manga. And it was so unsatisfying. It was all black and white. And I was like, damn, this sucks. I'm just gonna wait for the show. I'm not gonna read manga anymore. And so I watched the show and I enjoyed the show, and it was like a much better experience. I'll never read a black and white comic. And I'll never read a manga regardless, even if they did color in the pages, because watching the anime when it gets adapted is so much better. Thankfully, the manga always and the anime are always together. They're 90% of what you see on a manga is going to be happening on the anime. Yeah, they add more, but they'll never take something out of the manga. And it's so you're getting the authentic story for the canon episodes, not the filler episodes. What's going on, Boruto? I see you taking a year off. It gives me that old school horror flick vibes. Yeah, man. Hey, I think I'm done here. Appreciate you guys all for joining. And that's my independent comic book rant. Very informative towards the beginning, not so much towards the ending, but you can see my thoughts when I open up web pages like this guy's page, and you can see my thoughts on what my initial reaction is to like what the Nerdy Brew was saying a little bit earlier. It's the Gronk comic universe. Their main title, Gronk? Rob Gronkowski, like the football player? Gronk comic universe. Okay, I gotta see this. Oh wait, web comics Gronk. Let me share my screen. Sorry. True, that's not true. They promised Neverland Anime butchered the story of the manga. Oh, I guess I'm wrong. Thank you for correcting me, Richado. This is it? The Gronk comic book universe? Do I gotta go here? Nah, I went to the wrong place. I got the art pages out here of the Gronk comic universe. I might have the wrong thing, bro. This is it? Not impressed by the art. Sorry. Not impressed. I'm out. Thumbs up the stream. Thanks for the support, as always. Recast T'Challa. Jonathan Majors is innocent. And you're running out of time to get on that bandwagon. Like, in 2 days, he's got his court date where they drop the charges because it's just absolutely ridiculous. Now's a good time to be on the right side. Oh, that wasn't it. All right, Nerdy Brew. That wasn't it, but I'm ready to leave. Toodles.